Welcome, everybody. My name's Marilee Burnett, and I am your astrologer, and I am back with the messages I promised for those of you that tuned in and saw my recording on the big, important full moon lunar eclipse. If you didn't do that, that means you're not subscribed to my channel. And why is that? So be sure and click on that subscribe button now so that you don't miss any of my important content. And please like, comment, and share so that I could reach at least one more person every week. That would be fabulous. And I truly appreciate your support. I'm not going to cover all the details of the eclipse here, so be sure to check out the link that I'll have at the end of this video so that you can watch all the details on the eclipse and the breakdown by sign as well. It's pretty complex, so this might be a really good time for you to book a session with me. I have a special discounted rate where we'll go in detail and cover the new moon solar eclipse that's coming up as well, which again, we are in eclipse season and things are moving and shaking quick. You can also go out to my website, marileeburnett.com, become a member of my website, and then that way you get the written content sent to you as well. And you can also go out there right now and see my article for the full moon lunar eclipse and for the month of September, because we still have some really interesting energy to get through. And of course, we're going to break it all down today. And as usual, I'm using Astro Gold, and I will walk you through the main events that are coming up this week. And as usual, we get started with Monday. So on Monday, what you're going to notice is things are starting to change, which makes sense because we're at the eve of the full moon lunar eclipse, where big endings are possible, right? Big faded endings specifically. And we have, with Mars in Cancer, some big changes that need to happen. And those changes require action, right? Mars is about taking action. It can be about physical action. It could have something to do with women because of the fact it's in the sign of Cancer. Worst case scenario, Mars is attacks on women and families. But these are things that are going to change, right? So anything that happens because of the fact that Mars is in a square to the South Node and the North Node, which is in its sign, right? Aries, Mars, ruler of Aries, means that something about the way women and families are being treated, the attacks on them that are not what they should be by certain people maybe, need to stop. And they will stop in a faded way when you have Mars squaring to the nodes. And remember, a square and then whatever planet is and then the nodes being involved means that that energy is what helps you get back on track, right? And the North Node in Aries is about pursuing what we want, what's important to us. And that South Node in Libra is those relationships, those situations that we're a part of that are not meant for us anymore. So we have to take the action. We have to care and nurture for ourselves, right? That's the other thing about Cancerian energy. It's our emotions, our feelings, our intuition. And it's, good home cooked meals, right? So we got to take care of ourselves. So there's something along those lines that happens on Monday. And because it happens, maybe that's what leads to this big ending, right? When you're taking care of yourself. All right. So that's one piece of the puzzle. And then we see Venus in Libra. So Venus is in her home sign in Libra, right? She's already past the halfway point. And as the planet is at home, it on this day specifically, at the number 22, which is a master builder number in numerology, Venus opposes Chiron. And so whenever there's opposition, there's tension between the two that are meeting up, and you need to figure out where the balance is. So Venus in Libra, right? A loving relationship, a woman in a relationship that may be having difficulty with an older male figure. Now, Chiron is the wounded healer. So there's an opportunity for something to be healed in a relationship, but you have to both meet in the middle and then rebuild what needs to be torn down because it's not supporting you in order for this new structure to happen, right? There's going to be some conflict, but conflict doesn't all have to be bad, right? So there's something about the conflict that happens today that can lead to a rebuilding. And again, we have something again coming up that involves women with this Venus energy also in conflict today. So always, whenever we have difficult energy in things like a planet Mars that can cause accidents, it's just a good day to stay aware of your surroundings and always be careful and cautious, and don't take on big risky projects, especially physical risk on a day like Monday. All right. Lots of things are building here, and we're going to talk about those as we move forward. I'm just going to briefly show you on Tuesday. Of course, Tuesday is the full moon lunar eclipse, and that happens in the sign of Pisces, where the moon will be. And at the early part of the day, we've got the moon speaking with Saturn. Now, I always say that I feel, because it's the moon, because it's my ruler with my sun in Cancer, that Mercury gets called the messenger. But it's the moon who moves around the quickest and has a chance to have a conversation directly with every single planet out there, right? So I feel as if when the moon sits here next to Saturn, it's being given the instructions of what to do in a few hours with this big eclipse, where the moon will then be sitting next to Neptune, helping to dissolve something that is upsetting emotionally, something that's blocking you. So pay attention to what you're feeling early on in the day, because Saturn gives you the rules of the work and the plan that you need to be executing against with the eclipse. And keep in mind, eclipses are fated. So what's being pulled away, what's being taken away from you, and it probably already has been, it serves a purpose. I can remember the worst eclipse in my memory when I became aware of them. And it happened at the same time I was having my Chiron return. And oh my God, did I think my world was ending. But what it really did was lead me down this path of understanding energy and healing and astrology and numerology and tarot. And had I not gone through this uncomfortable experience, I wouldn't be here doing what I'm doing, even though I'm only doing it for 10 people. but thank you, YouTube, and those 10 people who watch my videos. But it led me to something I was truly passionate about, but I never would have thought that would have been the end result in the moment, because it just felt so devastating, because I was attaching to outcomes, because I believed that things could only be a certain way. And if they weren't that certain way, I was never going to be happy. And that's not the case. And when we find ourselves doing that, we have to stop and break free from it. Let that Neptune energy help you dissolve that way of thinking and being, so that what you're truly meant to experience can show up for you. And that's what the eclipses are supposed to do. They're supposed to give us a correction. And the farther we are from our path, the more difficult the correction can be. But that just means you need the wake-up call. And so we have these next 2 weeks to get clear on our path and what we're supposed to be doing, what we said we came here to do, because the nodes show us that, and they show us the work. So again, make sure you go check out that full video, find out what's being highlighted for you by the sun in Virgo, what you need to conclude with this moon and Neptune together in Pisces, with a little influence from Saturn and a whole lot of other stuff going on. So that video is pretty long. Make sure you check it out and let me know what you think about all of that. Okay. Moving on, we'll take a look at Wednesday. So on Wednesday, you're going to notice that we have that sun in Virgo still, of course, and everything that was active basically through that full moon lunar eclipse is still pretty much in the same position. And the only thing that's really moved on at this point is going to be the moon, and the moon's going to move into Aries. So something about that emotional eclipse now with the moon in Aries for the next 2.5 days, man, we're fired up. Like whatever we're ending or achieving, right? It doesn't just have to be something that ended. It's a goal of yours that can be achieved, a fated goal too. So again, it just depends on your personal work that you need to do. But take advantage of a moon in Aries because it keeps you motivated. So instead of backtracking or backpedaling and regretting what you did, trust the process and allow it to continue to unfold. And for a plan, right? You've got Mercury that rules the mind. You've got Saturn in the sign of Pisces, which is about spirituality, right? Faith and trust, our angels, our guides. And so what Saturn says here is it's having this confrontation with Mercury is you don't know everything. You don't have to control every outcome. And there's something different and something better. And if you had a little bit more faith and trust, you would actually see what that is. So this is the struggle, right? And the struggle feels real after this eclipse. But you need to find your center and then trust the process and let this unfold, because Mercury is everything that is constricted. It is everything that is controlled, unlike my dog who loves to whine when I'm making videos. And then Saturn in Pisces, which knows no boundaries, right, is learning how to set good boundaries. And so we have some tension on figuring out what healthy boundaries look like. All right. With that, I think that's everything on Wednesday. Yep, we're going to take a look and move forward to Thursday. All right. On Thursday, we are going to start to notice this kite formation is getting bolder and stronger. And if you go and listen to my video about the eclipse, or maybe you listen to it first, I talked about this kite. And over the next several days, we're going to see the connections in this kite get stronger. And I always feel like a kite is an opportunity that makes us happy and joyous, right? If you get back into your childhood mindset, even as an adult, right? I love seeing all the kites. I love the magic of a kite that can fly. I love the fact that it takes us to hold that string. It takes wind, and together, right, we lift that kite up in the sky and it's flying and it brings us joy. So there's some opportunity, right? Because you did the work, because you're clearing out what isn't meant for you, that this joyous opportunity can show up for you. But again, you have to get comfortable with the tension that's needed for this kite, this idea, this opportunity to launch. And so over these next several days, you're going to start to see the pieces of the puzzle fall into place and start to understand the bigger picture and why what happened had to happen, for instance. Now, those of you who have later planets, because these are all happening in the later degrees, 25 degrees and on, are going to notice this opportunity more because it's making a direct hit to any place you have in your chart, any planet you have around this 25 to 29 degrees specifically is going to be intense. And it starts off with like a surprise connection. You look at the sun in Virgo and it is speaking in harmony with Uranus, that is now retrograde, and Taurus. This could be money that's a surprise. It could be a job offer that's a surprise. It's, a success that you didn't expect, a happy ego, right? It could be a cure for some kind of a medical issue you've been having. Could be complete remission, right? It's health when we think about Virgo. And both of these are earth signs. So they're meeting up together today, and they form a part of the support system for this kite. So this is like one of the first steps. Now, when we saw the sun oppose the moon during the eclipse, that created this tension that's needed in order to, again, give you something to pull against to rise your kite or raise it, whatever the proper English is for that. And so we're going to keep seeing this over the next few days, and each day another piece of the puzzle shows itself for you and is highlighted. So that's a real important piece, is the beginning of this work. So let's move this forward to Friday. So now you notice Friday, right? Our kite's getting bolder and the opportunity's getting bigger and stronger. And now you see that sun is again here at the base. This is like the tail of the kite. And you've got the sun still speaking with Uranus. And now the sun, of course, is directly opposite Neptune. Neptune in Pisces can be a little delusional, but it's also very artistic and very creative. And it's very much focusing us inward, right? When an outer planet goes retrograde, we go inside to understand kind of the meaning of life with Neptune in Pisces. And again, where can we have more faith and where can we let go of a little bit more control, right? We need some control. We can't get our kite up without some control, but we don't need too much, or we'll overdo it and then we'll pull too hard and we'll drive that kite right into the ground. We don't want that. So you've got Neptune then saying, hey, have a little faith, trust the process, use your creativity. We can do this. All right. So we'll see that. And then we're also seeing Venus, still in Libra, starting to have this really weird conversation with Uranus. And so this can bring up relationships that are strange. It can bring up partners from your past, because of course, Uranus is in the sign that Venus rules, the other sign, of course, which is Taurus. So there's something to do with love and beauty and money that may come to you in a very unexpected, strange, weird way, but it plays a part. It's not directly involved in this kite, except for the fact that Uranus is this corner of the support. And so Venus is lending a hand, but indirectly. So another curious day. And this is us winding down summer and getting ready for fall. So let's take a look at Saturday. All right. On Saturday, this is the last day of summer in the Northern Hemisphere. And you know that because the sun is at the last degree of Virgo, which is, of course, 29. And this is where transformation is possible because of the fact that the sun is speaking directly with Pluto at 29 degrees. And in our lifetime, we will never see this conversation again between the sun, which is our ego self, the little voice that we talk to every day, and Pluto, death, rebirth, transformation, power, fear, all the things. And in the sign of Capricorn, work, government, old white men, and their power, which needs to change and transform. And if it doesn't, then the power that those people have dies away. And so we may see someone in power lose some, right? Because they are not doing what they need on their plan. You personally, when you're using your power, using your control, using your details, working on your health, right? You are there's this trine of energy, which is very supportive. But you, again, I keep saying this, you have to do the work. So what are you working on? What have you been working on since 2008? Because this is your final test with Pluto in Capricorn to finish the work, to succeed. And today the sun is highlighting that work and what you need to do to finish it. And when you do, you are successful. So it's a really important day. And of course, as we end summer, we're ending a season. So there's big changes. This is really interesting week of energy for us for sure. The other thing that you'll see today, Venus is still having a bit of a conversation with Uranus, but now her weirdness with this inconjunct, this green energy, is directed at Neptune. So again, something unusual involving the law, marriages. Somebody could get married unexpectedly. A relationship could end unexpectedly. Secrets could come up about a relationship. All kinds of crazy things are possible. And because Venus over this next couple of days is also squaring to Pluto, I'm suspecting that we're going to hear really weird, strange things that involve women, maybe weird women in relationships. And that could be the undoing of somebody in a position of power. It's going to be very intriguing, of course. All right. And then we will move on to the last day of the week, where we can see it all boldly coming together. And Venus will finish her time in her home sign of Libra. And then she's headed into the darkness of Scorpio, which is not her favorite. But relationships become much more intense when Venus is in Scorpio. But before she goes, she's having a difficult conversation with Pluto, ruler of that Scorpio energy, that mysterious energy. It's going to be, I think it'll be quite a show. So I'm looking forward to seeing what it is. And then we will see the sun enter Libra. Libra is a cardinal sign. All of the signs that are associated with the seasons are all cardinal because it's for things to be started, right? So now we are starting fall in the Northern Hemisphere. And during fall, right, things have come to fullness, right? The harvest is harvested, and that means things start to die away. And of course, they do that fully in winter, but the leaves fall for a reason, right? So that they can be reborn again in the spring. So it is a time of quiet reflection as we change seasons. And in the sign of Libra, again, as we're heading towards the new moon solar eclipse in this sign, pay attention, because the sun is going to highlight for you what you need to see and understand, especially whatever house this is for you, that you have this Libra energy where you want things to be fair and balanced. Things that have to do with the law and justice, right? Ruled by Venus, we're always concerned that we're doing things that we're worthy of, right? And that are worthy of us. So we have some things to consider. And one of those is, how do I find my center again if I've gotten really off my track and out of balance? At the same time, the sun's still having that conversation with Pluto, but it is starting to wane a bit. So relationships that you have with others play an important role in whatever this change is coming up for you. All right. And then this will be the last day of Venus in Libra, so take advantage of it and maybe do something nice for somebody that you are in a relationship with, like expressing gratitude for them. All right. So that's the week ahead. It's all intertwined with the eclipse energy. And we are going to continue with that kind of energy. The South Node new moon solar eclipse, as that comes up October 2nd, is going to again show us what we need to let go, South Node, in order for us to have the new beginning in whatever house you happen to have that, 10, 11 degrees of Libra, where we're going to have that new moon solar eclipse happen. So then next week, take a quick look at that. As we come back together, we'll start talking a little bit more about what it means for Venus to move through the sign of Scorpio. And we will discuss that in a little bit more detail. And then we'll start to see, the benefits of bright ideas with Mercury and Uranus meeting together. And we're still on the countdown to Pluto and its retrograde, which will end on October 11th. So we have lots of things to look at and focus on in the weeks between the lunar and the solar eclipse. But I can't stress enough how this is not the time to dig your heels in and to tightly grip all the things that you swear you can't live without. I promise you can. And you just do have to have faith and trust and maybe a little pixie dust in order to see your way forward and through this. So again, check out the link here for the full video with the breakdown by sign for the lunar eclipse. Make sure you like and comment this, subscribe, follow me, and maybe even book a session with me so that we can take a deeper dive into what you're working on with this eclipse energy. And for more clues, go back to this time frame in 2005 when you had this big major eclipse happening for you. Okay. I look forward to hearing your stories. I love your comments. I always respond, so feel free to leave those for me and keep me posted. I will talk with you next week. Take care, everybody. Be sure and check out your weekly tarot card messages as well. Those, along with this astro lesson, are going to give you the big picture. Thanks again for tuning in. Talk to you next week.